Of Office Hours with. My name is Ryan Miller, and as always with me, Scott Elcherson. Scott, hello.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed. And this week we are lucky enough to be joined by the founder of Dovetale, Mike Schmidt. Mike, how are you?
Good, good. Live from my bedroom, so doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where everyone's been going live from these last few days. We haven't had much of a
It's
change of
yeah.
scenery, so welcome to the club.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Thanks, guys. It's
It's
gonna be
a
fun.
it's a great place to be. It has good sound quality, right? All the pillows and cushions help dampen it, so it makes it not as echoey.
It's not an
Bedrooms are
insane
great.
asylum like at this point, but maybe I'll start to drape up the pillows and blankets and duvets all over the walls and stuff just to create like a sound chamber.
Right? You should. That'd be nice. A DIY studio.
Yeah.
Um,
Scott's getting there. He got the
but
first part with the mic screen. We just need some
yeah,
padded
right.
room
But
now.
this is all for show. Everybody knows this is all for show. Doesn't actually do anything. No, it does. It does. It does. Well, anyways, I guess we should get on with the show, right? So Mike, what is Dovetail? Uh, what is this platform that you have, and tell us more about it because I'm excited about it.
I think it depends on my state of mind whether I give you like the big pitch or if I give you just like what we do on a day-to-day basis. But I feel like it changes from year to year, but it always kind of stays the same as far as like the vision goes. But I can give you guys some
Uh-huh.
insight on like what we do. But basically, we're an influencer marketing platform. So one of the many companies out there that do influencer marketing help facilitate campaign management, searching for the right influencers or talent. We help people organize like all the different campaigns, the content people are working on with different creators, different influencers. We are like a full stack solution when it comes to everything from prospecting the right people to work with and figuring out, the right audiences and correlated interests that they have, all the way down to the
Mhm.
payments and everything else they do. Pretty much like that's what we do kind of on a day-to-day basis, but our vision is to create economic opportunity for creators. So
Hmm.
however we have to do that is going to be like an evolving process, I imagine, throughout the years. But on a day-to-day basis, we are known to many of our customers as an enterprise SaaS tool that they pay on a monthly basis for, and they use it for all of those reasons and more that I just mentioned.
So, you mentioned. Oh, sorry, I was on mute. You mentioned there was a lot of
You're
players
on
in this
mute, bro.
space. How did you actually dive into this territory? What made you look at influencers and think to yourself, now there's a way in?
So I started a company when I was in college in my dorm room with a bunch of friends. It was called Listen. And Listen was like a musical
Mhm.
social network that allowed you to listen and share music across borders. And there was really like this amazing connectivity between content. So that was just like the music people were sharing. So many people kind of called it like the Instagram for music. I mean, we definitely weren't near to the total user base. I think that most we got to like 500,000 users on a daily basis. So it was cool to see like people connecting over the music that they loved. But the primary acquisition method that we used in like 2011, 2012, which was when like Vine and like all these really kind of new creators were jumping up, and YouTube was growing very quickly, and Snapchat was just starting to get out of the like conversational buckets and into the media budgets and
Yeah.
those types of things. So we were really excited about just like utilizing influencers as like this way of growing the user base. So we built this like really rudimentary
Hmm.
scraping engine that allowed us to like crawl through all the people on Vine and look for the people that were growing really quickly. And it was super cool because we basically identified almost like a Bloomberg terminal, but for creators on social media. So we were like trying to like find like the people, like the arbitrage opportunities, trying to see like what was good, what was bad. And then it was a really fun project because then we just like DM'd all these creators on Vine. And I felt like we had Sean Mendez, we had some other like famous people that were like talking about Listen. And so we were fortunate enough to sell that company, but we always had this like idea, like, could we build this like marketplace? Could we build this like search engine? Could we build like something that would help creators get more work? Because at the time we were paying people pennies on the dollar basically for these types of activations because no one really knew what to call it at the time. But we were really excited about this opportunity to build it as an enterprise tool, bring the same tools that we built, that like Bloomberg terminally type of opportunity, to other brands. We don't really describe ourselves as like a Bloomberg terminal anymore, but that was like sort of the first pitch. And I remember pitching Garrett Camp, founder of Uber. He was like, we made this like one big pitch around building like the Google for people. So if Google allows you to index publishers' pages on the web, then there must be like a Google for the rest of the internet, which is like social media. So social media allows you to like index only a certain amount of information, but they are publishers, right? So you can search and index all these different creators, and people have just sort of slapped this like word influencer on people, which is basically just like a publisher. They're just a publisher. They're an independent publisher. They own their own brand. They own their own identity. They own their own distribution. So when it comes down to it, we decided to build like that Google for people layer, and then it evolved into all of these other like SaaS tools and this really exciting workflow tool that we have, and like Shopify integrations and like all this other crazy stuff that we're doing now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I guess that vision has come true in the product, right? Because because we've done this a few times now, it really is like a search engine. Like that's like the core functionality of it is a search engine for influencers. And the how you guys do it is really data driven, right? Like you've put a lot of metrics across everything from posts and engagements to what ads are, or I guess what posts are sponsored and what posts are not sponsored. So you can really see like a good insight into this creator's entire creative profile, their audience, some audience metrics, and really what are the platforms they're all across. So that way you have some really solid data points that are driving this conversation and a search for those influencers.
I mean, so just to double click on that point is a really cool one, right? Because like the profession,
Google double click. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just foreshadowing there. But yeah. Maybe we'll go for the multi-billion-dollar exit from Google. Who knows? But like, what's really cool about that, what you just mentioned, is there is a professional database for finding work, and LinkedIn has basically filled that void, right? But for creators, there really isn't this like trusted brand or this place where you can go and find content creators, influencers, consultants. Like you can't find like these people that are really good at what they do, but there's no like LinkedIn for creators, right? So it's like, I don't know how we feel about LinkedIn for creators quite yet. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't, who knows? But the interesting thing about it is that like sponsored post comes into it. Like, what's your work history on LinkedIn? It's like, well, here's what your creative work history is like. And then if you draw the connection into what your engagement metrics are, it's like, what are your certifications on LinkedIn? Like all these different tie-ins to like how the gig economy or the creator economy is sort of changing. It's super interesting, right? Because like metrics are one thing, but also quality of content is another thing. So it's like we try to highlight content and marry that data at the same time. So when you open up the Dovetale dashboard, it shows you like those two things side by side so that you can make that decision, because we don't want to deter any brand partners or any agencies from working with an influencer if they don't have like thousands and thousands of followers, right? Like if they have amazing content, they may be great for a consulted opportunity or just like content creation opportunity. So we're agnostic when it comes down to those types of things. We just try to highlight the key data, which is also why we try to like highlight things like fake followers, bots, those types of things, because if you see some sort of like nefarious activity happening, even in the professional world, I mean, you get fired for it. So like if it happens in the creative world, it should be treated the same.
Right. And so on that bot traffic, like how are you determining that? Like how does it actually work? Because like I think that's really an interesting key point to like the platform, that you can really see in real time, like for example, if somebody has bought followers, or if there's like a server farm that is doing something just based off follower counts and engagements, because you do have this historical data set that you kind of have these insights into being like, oh, this might be some bot traffic because they jumped 3x in a day and it's like a straight line or something like that. Like what are those signals like specifically, if we can get that granular right now?
Yeah, so like what you mentioned is signals, and that's exactly what we do. So we just give you like an idea of what's happening, right? So we don't ever claim to say, like we'll never say on someone's account like you have purchased followers, or this account is suspicious, or like whatever else it is, right? Like that's not
just tossing shade out there.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, screw you, like you're never gonna get work again. Like we're not that authoritative piece. That's never going to be our place to play. And you can imagine like the tricky situation that a platform like ours comes into play. Like, I mean, you see it in politics with Twitter right now, you see it in politics with Facebook, and now you see it within like actual metrics and deduction of like quality of content and data that's like pertaining to each one of the influencer profiles. So kind of just like going a little bit deeper on some of those things. we'll indicate signals. So you ever go to like a Google page and it'll say like, hey, do you want to go to the next page? Like this page might be insecure. Like we don't think that you should go next, but you can go next if you want to. Like it's up to you. So Google's like flagging those pages, and then they're saying like, we think you should have some caution before entering this page. That's pretty much like what we do too. So we just like use a bunch of different metrics to determine. I think in our like fraud algorithm, we have like just over 100 different signals, and those signals can range from irregular follower to following ratios, people that are trying to game those types of things, IP addresses that are hit from known bot farms or locations in the Philippines and India, Brazil, like those types of places. I think where it starts to become very complex in this machine learning model that we've built is, and now this is like a very trusted thing across some of the biggest brands in the world. So we're like the global vendor for fraud detection across many of the brands that you probably know today. And I think like the complexity here is a lot of companies see, like a lot of influencer marketing companies out there, similar to Dovetail, they treat this as a binary thing, and that's an impossible thing to do. So when I say like, oh, do they have an irregular follower and following ratio, or do they have a spike in activity, right? So if they have a huge spike in followers or engagement over the course of a week, you can't just say like, oh, that person has purchased followers, or that person has like a high number of fake followers, because you actually just don't know the history. You need to do some investigative work onto each one of those accounts, which is again that art and science kind of married together, which is why we sell so heavily to agencies today. But like as we continue to learn about these things, it's like we'll start to learn a lot more about it. But my bet too is that Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all these major platforms, they are going to just get really, really good with their own internal machine learning models. And we've even like talked with several of the companies and product managers at those companies trying to help them, because our job is just to, that back to that vision element, trying to get people work, trying to increase the GDP of the creator economy, all that kind of stuff. So like, we don't really care about fraud detection. It's really a stopgap, but we do a really good job of it.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned all the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Where does Dovetail capture information from? Every social platform you can imagine, or do you guys have any limitations?
Yeah, so the types of data that we pull in from each platform depends on their openness with developers, their partnerships with us, and essentially just like the creators that are on each platform. So here's like just a general prediction. I think like data portability from creators and just like users in general will start to be the catalyst for platforms like Dovetail, because like, who's the owner of the data? Not the platforms. It says really in their terms of service that the creators or the users are the owners of the data. The platforms are the stewards of their data, right? So it's like creators should have the ability to allow access to any brand to like gain access to their data streams, and they should also be able to port data from one system to another. So they should be able to say, Dovetail, I want to give Dovetail permission to my data set so that my brand partners can see what's going on. So now we get like a bunch of different data points, especially from like Instagram. We're talking to TikTok, like a bunch of other companies. Companies have a pretty wide-reaching data set today. So they have everything from reach, impressions, all the way down to like tap backs, tap forwards, swipe ups, different things like that on Instagram. And then, the more open the platform is, the more data we get. So we get quite a considerable amount. I think we have it all on our support doc. So if you go to like support.dovetail.com and then you just type in like what data is available, you'll be able to see all of the data that's available for each one of the platforms. And I imagine like, again, the prediction here is just like more of these platforms are going to become open to it, because the stronger your creator network is and the stronger your creator like economics are, the better your platform is. I mean, YouTube sees this. Instagram just opened up the ability for creators to make money on Instagram TV. TikTok is building a marketplace. Like if you look to China as any example of this too, it's like they do this super, super well. And prediction probably number 2 is just like, all the platforms are going to start to follow the same way that China's done it with Xiaohongzhu and Douyin.
Mm-hmm. And so just one comment to the chat. Yes, I'm having some internet issues. So if you see my window jumping around and it's out of control, we are working on it. So apologies for that. But I guess my internet connection is saying it's Friday and it just doesn't want to hang. But with that aside, and acknowledge so for right now, like if you're like a media planner and like you go this tool, like, you know, it gives you access to the entire ecosystem, right? Like you don't have to be trapped into, well, we're just looking for an Instagram influencer or a YouTube influencer. Like you can go into this platform and it'll give you information on, you know, a creator that's on YouTube, but you can understand what their Twitter presence is and what their Instagram presence is, and if they've cracked into TikTok. I'm assuming it could also kind of give you like trends, right? So who are the creators that are starting to pop all across different platforms, right? Like, you know, I think the scene right now is like we're trying to get a hold on TikTok, right? Like how do we get influencers working with there? Like what are the strategies? Who are the people that we should be talking to? Even trends that are going on in TikTok themselves. So like all of this is kind of just combined into one neat little dashboard. Is how I'm envisioning it.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Or am I over-promising here?
Don't get me started on the TikTok cults that are happening right now. But the
no, let's get super started on that. That seems interesting. What are the TikTok cults?
How do you join? I mean,
just go to Melissa Ong's page and you can see like I think her cult is called Step Chickens, which is just like this like crazy cult of just like people that are trolls, and it's a wild thing. There's like the Dum Dum Gang, there's Lego Star Wars Army, Step Chickens, like I mentioned with Melissa Ong, and I think there's like one that's like Purple versus Green Alien Gang War, but like that's like the underground shit that's happening on TikTok, and it's fucking weird, but it's cool. I'm
all for that. I am all for you know, the cult that are
shenanigans.
That are happening. Brian, sorry.
The shenanigans that are unfolding on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, I live for stuff like that internet culture. Like sign me up. Like I inject that into my veins. I think it's so fascinating just to see how
you'll just be like on every gang. No loyalty
no
to
affiliate,
any single person.
Just here to watch. Yeah, just here to watch and eat.
Well, if you are a burgeoning young live streaming influencer like ourselves, you know, how do we get recognized on the Dovetale platform? How do we start getting people to take notice? Do you guys just automatically start pulling our data once we get to a certain threshold, or how does that work?
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that on Scott. So Scott, you pretty much painted a picture. I'll just hire you as our next product manager for you know, any of the new product experiences that we're going on here. But
sign me up.
Basically, the interface is designed so that it's kind of like a hybrid model of applications. So people that are applying to be in the network, and then also people that have just been indexed. So like you don't sign up to Google, right? Like Google just indexes your page when you become popular enough where you talk about certain things, and then their crawlers just kind of go around and I'm going to make Google analogies literally all day until we become Google. So just talk to me in like 15 years when, you know, I'm building other projects and they're all under the Dovetale brand, and it's this massive holdings company, and it's going to be beautiful. But the fun part about the indexable search is just like when you become popular enough, or if you have good content. So we have a bunch of ways to identify people that are trending, people that are up and comers, people that post really good content, a bunch of different metrics that we'll post in there. And then regarding if you want to get popular, my biggest recommendation is just be different. There's so many, like if you want to get recognized by Dovetale, if you want to get recognized by different things, there are hacks, by the way. Like there are hacks to getting noticed by companies like ours. Like if you put like, you know, just if you're an influencer, I would just be like, mom, you know, has a toddler in my bio or whatever else. Is just like go after like pet categories and mom categories or parenting categories. I mean, just get a dog basically, and then you'll like pets is like one of our most successful categories as a company, and we rarely talk about it. I mean, it's a very fascinating kind of industry because like most people just kind of know this, and they'll put like the keywords in their bio so they're indexed by these search engines. Because otherwise we have to like go and scour their posts, and we have to go look for all this other stuff and, you know, index them in different ways. And again, the goal is just to get those creators opportunities, right? So it's like, while it does seem like a hack, it's like, hopefully there's like some market theory that happens here where everyone is, you know, trying to get identified. We don't have like an AdWords or, you know, model to our search engine quite yet. And maybe that's where we'll get into the double click experience, who knows? But yeah, if you guys wanted to get, you know, popular on the platform, I would just say like be different, talk about different stuff, because at the end of the day, there's just, you know, there's a ton of players out there that do relatively the same thing. And while you can do that in categories like fashion, pets, general CPG, mom, dad categories, those things. When you get into like business or marketing type intelligence, we really got to say some like super insightful things, having like a really different set of content that you're pushing out every week, that type of thing. And then just like engaging the right speakers. The one strategy I think works over and over and over for new podcasters, new YouTubers, new Instagrammers, those types of things, is just like engage with people that are higher than you in the follower ranks. So like make sure that you're just finding people that you're able to reach out to. So if I had 0 followers today, I would like try to collaborate with someone that had like 3,000 followers. And then when I got to 3,000 followers, I would just like work with a bunch of people that have 3,000 followers. And then I would just go up to the next rank, which would be like 6,000 or 7,000 followers. And I would just keep doing that until the stepwise function just becomes really, really big. That delta in between becomes really, really big. And then you start just like collaborating with people and you start engaging with the right audiences. And then you'll just like find your audience too. Like, honestly, influencer stuff, like, I mean, one of the TikTokers was just saying, like, I don't even know how I got popular, just people liked my stuff. But like, I it's easy to do a postmortem and say, clearly you got popular here because you were doing something different. But at the end of the day, you're subject to algorithms, you're subject to people's psychology, which is always hard to predict. I mean, you're basically trying to predict a stock at this point with people. So, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the most important things to understand is, like, when you're playing a game, know the rules, because that way that allows you to play in and around them, and that really helps, give you an advantage. Being different, I mean, I guess we'll try, Ryan. I don't know how good we're going to be on that one. But
well, to be fair, I don't know many other media agency live streams that are talking about TikTok cults, so.
True. That is, I think that is something that we can put on the scoreboard for the lab here. So
throw it in the bio.
And yeah, in our bio. You're right. We should tag it in our bio. But Mike, so think about that. I think about agencies, right? So we have this super powerful tool, this engine that allows them to search for these influencers. And so, I guess, what is that workflow? Like, how do teams leverage this? If I'm a media buyer, is this is this like a media spend? Is this like a tool that I have to work through, like my IT department? Do you work more brand direct? Like what are the ways in which you've seen success as on the investment side? Like, how are you working with teams and agencies and brands to help them find the best possible talent with the Dovetale solution?
I mean, first off, it's not as easy as just pressing the big blue button on Facebook, putting your credit card in, and buying a bunch of media on Facebook. So that's like the difficulty with influencer marketing today. It's much more closer aligned to like a sales process. So like reaching out, mm-hmm. prospecting, putting them into a funnel, putting them into like a stepwise function. So when you're working with like a creative person, obviously like there are like barriers, there are conversational barriers, there are different things that are not involved as you would kind of as a media buyer purchasing some media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever else it is. So like, I think that companies that come into this, and when we work with agencies or brands directly, it doesn't matter. It's like there does require like a little bit of education, but we try to let our product do as much of the education as possible, so that it's mm-hmm. like think about it, like when you open up a Mac, you don't have an instruction manual, right? Like that was one of Steve Jobs' major things, and it's like something that we think about all the time, is like our product should be so easy to use that people just know what to do. It's just like big purple buttons, next step, go to this, do this, do this. If you need this product, go to there, right? So it's like people generally get the idea when they kind of go into the platform, but it is more of a stepwise process. And the steps are basically like, first off, you got to prospect. You got to find the right influencers mm-hmm. for your story. The way I explain it to companies is like, figure out like up to 10 archetypes. Figure out like 10 people that would be purchasers of your product, and then just try to like distill that down into maybe a list of 100 people. Spend the week reaching out to those 100 people and A/B testing emails. So we have like a dedicated CRM that's built into the platform, similar like a Salesforce or something like that, where you can just like message each influencer and you can say like, hey, really love your content. Would you be open for a sponsorship opportunity? Or a content opportunity, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. That's the first step, mm-hmm. is just like reaching out to those people, creating that conversation, creating that like transparency, and just like being authentic. That's like really all it is about, right? So it's like having a value-oriented pitch. I mean, that's what we do with sales. Like, we're not a hardcore sales team, but although we've been growing very quickly, I call it like the anti-sell sell, which is just basically like explaining value. And if you just want to subscribe to Dovetale, then subscribe. Like, if you don't, like, give us feedback, just like help us make it better for you one day. So it's the same thing for creators, right? So it's like, no worries if you don't want to be involved in this campaign, but hope you thought it was valuable for us to reach out. Something, I don't know, something where it just like engages them very authentically. And then it goes into like a funnel of product, right? So like it goes into a reach out category on the product. It gives you a status for each one of those influencers. Say, for example, like some of them say yes. Then they'll click on a link, they'll join the Dovetail platform, they'll authenticate their channel so that that data access flows through to the brand. And then basically like they can connect they get their own little dashboard. So like Instagram users or whatever their accounts are, they get their own dashboard where they can connect each one of their accounts. And then the brand can see the data flowing from the influencer account to their reports and different things like that. But it goes through steps before it goes into a report, which is like content approval. We have brand safety pieces that are built into the platform. So for kid brands, I mean, like streaming services right now that we work with have to have lots of diligence when it comes to brand safety and those types of things, especially for kid-based content, all that kind of stuff. So it's like super important. We have once the content is approved and it's posted, we have all these little tasks. It's kind of like your mission control and you're built into the platform. And then once it's posted, we put this beautiful wrap-up report together, and then the influencers are paid out. So hopefully, if you've never done an influencer campaign before, this is helping you through the product execute one of these campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the whole process seems pretty seamless. And I mean, just to that point, I know you talked a little bit about how influencers are standing out and becoming more discoverable by using, keywords like pets and parenting and all of that. But we have a question here from Twitch chat from Social Butterfly 123. Is there anything influencers can do specifically to attract more brands to work with them?
Yeah. So number one, I would create a media kit. So like if you wanted to create something that shows like the value of what you do, like really authentically, I would say that's probably one of the best things you can do. And make sure like your SEO is really good, because like we pick up on SEO, we pick up on Instagram, we pick up on Twitch, we pick up on YouTube, we pick up on TikTok, like everywhere we have pieces and parts that pull into the platform. So if I was like a creator, if I was an influencer, I would try to be optimizing for the Dovetails, like every one of Dovetail's competitors. How do they index each one of these people? Because like there are a lot of companies like Dovetail out there, admittedly. So it's like if you wanted to like optimize for those search engines to pull you up, I think we're probably one of the largest search engines right now, but we don't cover all of the brands, right? The brands are dispersed, right? Like everyone uses some other different platform. So I would really try to optimize for each one of those and like build a relationship with those like teams that are at those companies, specifically the agencies. Still to this day, agencies have a lot of control over this industry. So it's like, I like reaching out to brands is awesome. I have like a whole spiel on brands, but like I think the agencies are still going to control the media budgets and the programmatic spending when it comes to influencer marketing. And furthermore, I think that Facebook and Google will actually own the lion's share of this entire industry. And then I think that the model for influencer marketing for brands, specifically on e-commerce, is within gifting and affiliates. So it depends on what you are as a creator. Like, do you want to create content? Do you want to do sponsored posts, or do you want to do affiliates? Because each one of those is different. And if you pitch the right pitch to your brand partners or people that you're reaching out to, like treat it as a sales funnel, right? Treat it as like a business. So if I was a creator, I would be thinking about which one of those categories, maybe two, not all three, that I could fit into. And if I was like really interested, I would reach out to like a set of brands every week, get a list, reach out to those people on LinkedIn, whatever else it is. You'd be surprised at how forthcoming some of these brand managers are if you're into affiliates, and you would also be surprised as like how friendly some of the agency people are that really sometimes are in a tight place and they're just like, oh yeah, Sarah is really, really nice. She's doing all this amazing content around DIY and lifestyle. We might as well just use her. Her metrics are great. Like it comes down to the people that you like sometimes, and not necessarily the people that have the best metrics.
That's some sound advice. As somebody in the space, it seems like you've been thinking about this a lot. I should ask
I'm not going to be an influencer anytime soon. Oh,
yeah, I was like, it seems like there might be a pivot ahead for Mike Schmidt here. So that's great. And then I guess when we think about like the caliber or like the level of these influencers, right? So what kind of influencers do you have on your platform? I mean, are we talking like celebrity style influencers? So it's like, for example, we could work through you, or a team could work with you to kind of get in contact with like Kendall Jenner or J-Lo, or somebody that is just in the absolute stratosphere of followers. Or do we have more smaller influencer on there that are maybe in like the 1,000 to 10,000 range of followers? Like what is the scale at which we can access influencers? And is like kind of like what like level of category is that? Is it celebrity focused? Is it more like these as individual creators? Like what's the range here?
First off, I probably couldn't be an influencer because my SEO is shot. And I think if Chad is listening on this Twitch stream right now, he'll know that I have a battle. I have a battle with this SEO plan because Mike Schmidt is like a famous third baseman for the Phillies, and it's just so frustrating because like I can't get the name going. I can't get anything going, even though I own the Twitter handle. I mean, there's like I think there's like a Wall Street Journal journalist that sometimes I get like at Mike Schmidt. Well, how could you write this stuff? Or like sometimes I get like the Phillies fans that hit me up, and I'm just like, just heart the post or something like that. Yeah. So, I don't know.
He did tell us to bring that up, so I'm glad you worked your way into that one, because I was teeing myself up for that exact conversation.
And I mean, it's something that I can definitely.
That's my personal battle. If anyone knows how to fix that, hey, I'm all ears. Mike at Dovetale.com. Hit me up because I'm trying to increase on the ranks of Google search. But regarding like the people that you can search through Dovetail, because we're like this agnostic third-party solution that allows you to search. We try to index as much as we can. We try to limit on quality, so we try to pull out brands and like feature pages, fan pages, that kind of stuff that you're not super interested in. Regarding, and that's like a bit more of our machine learning practice that's internal, our data science team. And that there's a lot of hard work to make sure that the feed of influencers is really like quality. So I think a lot of people come to us because there's like a good quality here. You're not just going to see Kendall Jenner, Justin Bieber, and all the top people, right? Like the default search engine is sorted by growth, and that's on purpose, like almost since the very start, because we wanted to surface new people that were growing really quickly. And the only way to do that is to like surface people that have like high single digit or double digit growth, without having a lot of like fake followers and weird interactions that are happening on their accounts. But like you'll see like new stars on Netflix getting opportunities. You'll see like someone on The Bachelor that just like is growing whatever week. I don't like consume a lot of media, so I don't actually know a whole lot of influencers, to be honest. But like, as you see like the list of people coming through, it's just like everyone, I think our cutoff somewhere around like 2,000 followers or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it goes up all the way to like whoever has the most amount of followers.
No, I mean, you guys are incredibly timely with pulling in all that information. I remember the first time you came into our office to do a demo, there was someone up there that literally couldn't have been an influencer for more than 3 days because of the timely release of a Netflix show. And I was like, holy crap, there she is. And she already has 50 million times more followers than I do. So clearly we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we need to get a Netflix show, Ryan. Yeah. That'll be our step 2.
Just check to Netflix, get a live podcast of interviewing digital marketers.
Yeah. I think I could sell that into a major studio.
Not a bad thing. But I will say this: you have to be careful when you reach out to Netflix, because in their terms of service, they have a clause in there that they do not take unsolicited requests for shows. And any ideas that you do send to them that is unsolicited, they can use without your rights or any sort of payment for that. So be careful what you do send Netflix. That when it is unsolicited, because they can kind of take advantage of that. If you want to get really deep into the Netflix terms of service.
Actually,
I know Amazon, a guy that may have read them.
Amazon used to have like this like pitching. I don't know if they discontinued it or something. I thought it was brilliant. Whereas like people could pitch their ideas to Amazon before. I think right after they bought IMDb or something like that, they had this like service where you could pitch different scripts and ideas. And I think they discontinued it. I always thought that was like a really smart thing to do. I think like companies like Wattpad are probably going to lean more into that stuff than Amazon or Netflix in general. But
sure. So
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was Chris. He was on our stream, a few weeks back as well, and kind of saying like they're really leaning into like the whole production side of things as well, kind of growing influencers on their platform and then like spinning that into shows, because there's some viability to that. But sorry, Ryan, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring chat back into it a little bit more. We got another question here from Lionbrow23 from Mike. What is his vision for the near and far future of what he wants the platform to be? So I know you keep talking about being the next Google, but beyond that, can you expound upon that idea a bit?
Oh my God. I'm like a basket case for like where I want to go, like in the short term, but in the long term, I know exactly where I want to go. Like there are so many different ways we could build the company. And it's like also the reason why we own a majority of the company too. We've taken on very little venture capital. We can control our own destiny. We don't have to like listen to people that don't have the best interest for the company, maybe more or less for, financial returns or different things like that. We're really intentional about like where we want to go in the short and long term. I'll say this, like our vision is to help creators get opportunities, right? Like we believe that there is like an Uber sized opportunity for creators and the gig economy, the creator economy, whatever you want to call it. Like there is a GDP variable that's associated to people in this industry. And we can see it because of the world health issues today. We can see about a bunch of different things. I think different companies have gotten this right and wrong. Patreon has gotten some things right and wrong. YouTube, I think, is doing a really, really good job of just like sharing revenue with creators and different things like that. I think companies in China are the companies that are like really trailblazing that you can look to as examples, and where I spend probably most of my time thinking about and helping evaluate like the different paths that we can go on. So if you take a page from like where influencer marketing is going, or where creator-driven marketing is going, or where like creators are going in general, I think like just look at what the platforms like Xiaohongshu and Douyin have done in China, right? Like they've integrated creator strategies directly into their platforms, and they've this is why I said like Google and Facebook are probably the ones that win this industry or the lion's share of this industry. We definitely have a strategy to be a part of that story, and I think we're executing it quite well at this point. We really do believe in our approach of building enterprise SaaS tools first to learn about the industry, establish trust. I mean, I was explaining this example the other day. Starbucks can't just like go and start Fresh Bean Co. and people will just come to it, right? People don't trust the brand. If they go to Starbucks, they'll know and trust that the coffee that Starbucks serves is Starbucks coffee, right? It's a really simple example. And I think the same thing is true about Dovetail. We're building a world-class brand that creators and brands and agencies trust right now, which will give us the footing to change. Say, for example, we want to build a marketplace in the future. If we want to build more SaaS tools, if we want to build a sales force of this industry, we want to expand our CRM efforts. I think all of those things are possible. And you'll see we're working on a really cool project in the background right now called Community. And Community is going to be like I won't kind of like go into detail on like what the actual product does, but Community is going to be a huge piece to kind of fulfilling those pieces of the vision, because I think right now what we've done as a company is we've established a baseline. We've established a baseline of like best in class tools. I don't think like at the price and at the quality of tools that we have today, I don't know if like anyone has a good pitch against us. But I think that I don't think that anyone has innovated on top of those things. So like when I go into a pitch and I meet with a company, I'm just like, hey, how can I make your experience better? And they're like, first off, you can lower the cost of these bloody platforms because the platforms are way too expensive. And then number two is like, just like build me the Macintosh to the XP or the Windows machine that I've been using. And I'm like, easy, that's what we're doing. So I think now is the time that we innovate and we bring all these layers on top that we've been thinking about for years. We were working on this for 3 years, but obsessing over the problem for probably like 7 or 8 years now because of the time that we've had with Listen and then all the other years on top of that too. So I'm excited to like innovate on the product and like, build more than what just people expect, which is basically what we're focusing on the next, probably the long-term future, but it will also start to come, a lot of those pieces of the vision will start to come true.
Well said. So you seem pretty confident in the pitch when you go into your meetings with different brands and agencies and all that. And so so when you are thinking about that, like what is Dovetail's competitive advantage, right? I mean, like what makes that up? Is it just the dashboard itself? Is it, how you think about, finding and categorizing these influencers? Is it part the price? Like what is this competitive advantage that Dovetail has over the competition that's currently out there?
It's really easy. It's just like we care deeply about like what our customer success metrics look like. That's all it is. probably like 2 out of 5 of my pitches, I'll go in and be like, guys, this is not the right solution for you. Like, this is just, like, you are just like so far away from paying for a platform like ours. Like, just go somewhere else, and here, I'll give you the playbook. Like, I've written it out for them. I'll share the Notion guide with them or something else like that. Like, I think we're just like very genuine about what we sell, and we're not like trying to, we're in it for the long haul is what I'm saying. Is basically like, we don't have to hit financial quotas. We don't have to hit targets of the quarter. We don't have to do any of this stuff, even though we'd love to do that stuff, and we've done well with it. We don't have to like sell people. Like, we just have to be like, here's what it is. Hopefully you guys love it as much as we do. And if you don't, give us feedback. And if we think it's not the right fit for you, then we'll just recommend you either a competitor service or some other product that will more closely align. Like, when I jump on the phone with people, I'm just like, hey guys, like, tell me a little bit more about like what you guys are doing and how you found the tools. And then, I'll give you like a general overview of what Dovetale is, but depending on what they say in that first sentence, I'll just be like, all right, this is probably not the right thing for you. You should probably go use Shopify, or you should go use something else to do this thing. Because, like, I mean, you can imagine all the different people that come and want to use different pieces of software. So that like approach, I just feel is very different in the industry. And everyone's trying to like sell, and like buy AdWords against us and like do crazy stuff and like, all this stuff. And we're just staying really focused on what our plan is.
Yeah, and that's a great competitive advantage, right? And you don't have any financial goals or stuff. That's hard to compete against when you have your product out there. Right. I was going to ask a question, but what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, while we're talking about competitive differentiators, a lot of what you were saying is you go into a meeting and people are talking about the prices being outrageous. And I know we'd be remiss if we didn't ask about it for our brands. What is the entry-level fee to start working with you guys? And then, how far ranging can prices get depending on what you're looking to do with Dovetale?
So it feeds very nicely into one of my pet peeves in this industry is just like, and in general, like enterprise SaaS, like this is my first time starting an enterprise SaaS company. So like I've learned just an absolute ton about this industry, but like pricing transparency grinds my gears so much because like when a company comes in and they're just like, they start off on the foot being like, yo, I just listened to a pitch from one of your competitors, and they're like, this is the price. And I'm just like, okay, like, did you check out our pricing page, dovetale.com/pricing? They're like, yeah, that's why I wanted to do this one next. So dovetale.com/pricing starts at $99 a month, $500 for pro, and then enterprise starts at around $1,000 a month. So depending on your use case, I mean, we reserve enterprise for more like a tailored approach to influencer marketing, but huge pet peeve of mine when like companies are non-transparent about their pricing because they're literally just making that shit up on the fly.
Mm-hmm. And I do have to comment in chat. We literally just got our first like spam. I guess we have a bot in there or somebody just posting about if you want to become famous, here's where you can buy fake followers. So this is truly, I think, a turning point for our show. If we are getting spam, people are watching, or we're going somewhere. I have to say.
I just put the bot farms on your account so that you could just like back to the argument. So I plan that.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, but that's great. So I mean, that it's right there. It's very simple pricing, tiered pricing. Well, I guess just while we're talking about it, what are the different? Is it just the different seats per account? Like, is a pro account like you have like 5 seats? Is an enterprise account like 10 seats? Like, what is that differentiation? Because knowing that the pricing is so straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like a tiered seating model. So 3 seats on the 99, 10 seats on pro. And then basically, like, as you scale it, I mean, we have some companies with like hundreds of seats, so that really requires to like scale down the pricing significantly on a per seat basis. But as you can tell, like, it's on a bucket basis, and then depending on the complexity of the enterprise clients, it will be there. And basically, like, the difference between starter and pro, if you're curious, and like actually enterprise is like white labeled solutions, really good for agencies, really good for those types of things, custom domains and all that stuff, and like really hands-on support and advice from our teams, and integrations, like we have integrations with like Shopify and different things like that. 99 is really built for what we're thinking is like just from traction, just because we've launched our Shopify integrations just over the last several months.
Which I want to talk about next. Yeah. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, so Shopify customers are $99. Like we believe that that's the price point for them, and we believe that they can be successful there. So 99 is like for an e-commerce merchant that's selling on Shopify. That is really the focus of 99. And then at the $500 mark is like the boutique agency or the up and coming brand that has probably like one or two people at minimum inside of the company that's like kind of their agency representation that's like focusing on kind of drumming up all those influencer relationships. So it's pretty clear as to like who our customer is, but like hopefully we're capturing a good segment of the market, and then the enterprise is basically reserved for the big Fortune 500 companies as well as like the bigger agencies that use the platform.
Got it. So now that pricing is out of the way and we can understand what is involved with that, Shopify, social commerce, like what is going on here? What is this new partnership? How does this work? Are you guys now an affiliate network? Like, fill me in here. Like, what's going on?
So there's going to be a whole bunch more coming. It's taking.
Do you want to drop it? You want to drop it right now on the show? I mean, that'll probably boost our numbers.
Not quite yet, but maybe we'll do another one.
Shoot. Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. We'll have you come back. It'll be our first repeat.
Here's the hook to bring people back.
So here's the insight. I'll give you guys the insight maybe. So Shopify is growing obviously very quickly, and we're big fans of the team there. We're also big fans of like entrepreneurship and generally building a brand online, those types of things. Mm-hmm. Here's the funny thing: when you start like a Shopify store and you don't sell something within weeks of starting that store, you get really discouraged, right? So you, as a new merchant, you're trying to you're really hyped up on this thing. You've got this honeymoon experience about starting your own brand and all this other stuff, and you don't sell something, that really sucks, right? So that really sucks for a merchant. So again, taking the side of like the merchant, the entrepreneur, we're really excited about like one of those things that can take very little budget if you do it correctly is pair them up with like a social media influencer. Because they can drive sales, right? Like they drive instant credibility. They have a trusted audience. They do all this other stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, there's cults on TikTok. So I mean, there's definitely some
there's something there. There's something
right? So, yeah, exactly. So with this particular problem, it's like, how can we get a new merchant to their first sale quicker than average, right? Because like we don't want them to churn from Shopify, and B, we want them to retain with us, right? So that's what the new thing that we're working on right now is going to solve. The second piece is like how do you create, like there are a lot of affiliate companies out there, a lot of affiliate softwares, also kind of in the same category of like very fragmented, very expensive, it scales up enormously, and none of them actually like really focus on the quality of affiliates. And if you think about like influencers, again going back to the definition of publisher, if they're just a publisher, then we can connect them with the right people to sell more of their products over time by creating great content and doing sponsored engagements. So that's like one of those things that we're super excited about. So today, what we've introduced into the platform is the ability to send influencers gifts. So if you're a Shopify store, like I talked to several Shopify stores, like we work with this company, it's amazing. They're called Kettle and Fire. They sell bone broth. And they send tons of gifts to influencers, and they want, in return to get some sort of like earned media or some sort of credibility back, right? The combination of gifting and affiliate marketing is the winning strategy for Shopify, at least like what we think today. And I think that no company is really well positioned to figure that out quite yet, other than Shopify, because they have the channel partnerships and they have different things like that. But Shopify, just given the growth and just like how amazing their company is just corporately and how much they care about the merchants, like we want to align ourselves with those things and just like really scale up our Shopify involvement. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like you're taking a play out of all the beauty brands, right? Like, because they're I would say like the leaders in the space when it comes to leveraging social as their way to drive credibility, to drive sales. And everything like there's a few brands that just don't even need other advertising, right? Because like everything that they do is done through influencers, or a big part of it is all through that, and so like they don't have to have like that brand advertising, for example, because their influencers are their brand in a sense, and they're selling the brand, and it's just such a highly effective channel that this is just kind of what they do to advertise, which is just like fascinating. So it seems like you're like this idea is just starting to shift more and more and more into more and more categories, across the board, as it's really selling through influencers as like your main channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like one of those channels that if you're good at relationship building, and if you're good at sort of like all of the executionary things, like if you can use the Dovetale tool set to like walk you through that process, which again, like I think that we also have some improvement to do on some of those pieces and those elements. But also just like the workflow is so broken and the platforms don't really support it and a bunch of other things. So it's like, if you think about it from like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or any of these other platforms, if you go outside of the platforms to make money, meaning that like no one's buying ads to get awareness on those platforms, they're obviously not going to support it because it doesn't affect their bottom line, unless they could argue that it does, which I don't think that they do, or at least they don't believe in. But if you focus on the creator side, if you focus on like what they want, they're really interested in like pairing up with the right partners, the right brands, and then helping them make more money. And then also they want a cut of it as well. So here's like an interesting model that I've been kind of thinking about, but I think we're very far away from. So like if someone wants to go do it, contact me because it'd be really cool. But but like one of the things that's really interesting, right, is like, say for example, you boost a post on Facebook or on Instagram. How much, and like say for example you boost an influencer post, right? So that influencer has like that that creative that they've posted, and then you get the permission, and then you boost the post with you create your ad dollars. I was thinking like, why isn't there like an easy way to share like a portion of that percentage as a licensed fee to the influencer, so that they get a portion of that like sponsored post percentage, so that they actually get a portion of the media budgets behind it? Because then the influencer's happy, you're happy, and then Facebook's happy too, so that they get like this like trifecta of like happiness, and everyone can like sort of scale this industry that's been so desperately wanting to be scaled for a really long time. So I think Google is really well positioned for that because they share revenue already. I think I looked at your yearly reports, and it was like they made somewhere around $16 billion, and they shared like $7 billion of that with creators. Instagram made like 20 and shared none of that with creators. So I think there's like a lot of opportunity to kind of like help creators make more money on multiple channels. I think Instagram's doing a great job of like putting that into Instagram TV. I think they have a long way to go because like, I think I mentioned this to you guys or chat or someone, but we did a survey in 2019 where we surveyed creators that have more than 10,000 followers. And we asked them one simple question: which one would you rather have, your Chase bank account or your Instagram account? And almost all of them, 86% of them, said we'd rather have our Instagram account than our Chase bank account. We would drop our Chase bank account to keep our Instagram account, right? So it's like, that's how much they tie value to their Instagram account, which also brings the I think Novi or Nova or whatever the blockchain product is from Facebook, the new Calibra or Libra product.
Yeah, Libra.
They just rebranded it to like Novi, I think, or Nova.
Oh man,
yeah,
can't mean that's got a signal that whole project's not going well.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty bullish on it. I think it's going to be really great. I probably have I think I'm probably more of a contrarian viewpoint, but like I think Zuckerberg literally sees like 10 years into the future and like knows that like there's a bunch of unbanked people, and there's a bunch of people that could really benefit from a solution like this, and also they just have the graph, the social graph, and it's just like it's actually I think it's like one of the most brilliant moves from a social network in a really long time, because I thought about Instagram as a bank before, just in this context, and that's why we did the survey. So I'm just like, oh man, like I hope he succeeds, but in the right way. You know what I mean? I hope he succeeds.
Right. Well, I mean, so the idea is there, like the concept is there, right? But it's who it's coming from, the organization that it's coming from. They have such issues with branding right now, and this like consumer trust, that the idea of like getting in a sense like a certified bank for them is just, I mean, that is an Everest of a hill to climb. It is just incredibly difficult. But yes, I mean, I think I agree with you in the sense that the idea that he's thinking about is right, but it just probably is best not to come from Facebook, just given their current state in the industry and how people view them. It's just difficult. Like, I don't know, that's a hard thing to kind of overcome.
Yeah, I think that they will overcome that, though. I think they'll overcome that like sort of Big Brother effect that they've had for a very long time. I think in general, just people don't know how the internet makes money and how people make money on the internet. Like general Americans do not know how the internet works. Like I just think that they don't know how it works. So I'm Canadian, so I can just like look into the.
Oh yes, yeah. You can just like look
your infinite northern wisdom.
No, I don't think Canadians know how the internet works either. I don't think anyone knows how the internet works. I mean, there's cults on TikTok, so who knows how it actually
Al Gore
works.
probably knows, so we'll leave it to him.
Yeah.
Well, so we do have two questions here in the chat. Ryan, I know you've been the chat master this round, so
thanks.
I'll let you.
So let my competitors ask me questions and intel so that they can get some insights.
Yeah.
No, so we've been talking a lot about what the platform can do for brands, and I know you've alluded to creating this influencer-centric model as well. So Social Butterfly wants to know, what do you offer for influencers, and how do you differentiate your offering for influencers from other, social influencer companies?
Yeah, so to be honest, we don't have a lot of focus on the creator side other than just like a task creation dashboard. So we are really excited about like exploring this in the future. That's how we're going to really grow, I think. Because today, if you think about like what the value is, like if you think about like a traditional consumer app, you start with the tool, then you go to the network, and then you expand the network based on value of the additional nodes in the network. So that's just like a general constructive model for how to build like a consumer app. And if you think about like creators coming in, what would you do? Like, what would you do if you just came into a Dovetail mobile app? Like, message me, mike@dovetail.com, because we'd love to know the answer to that. So if the reason why we haven't focused a ton of effort there is because we want it to be intentional. We want there to be a reason for you to connect in your account. So actually, the only way that an influencer can get into Dovetail, like with a signed and registered, verified Dovetail checkmarked account, is by being invited by a brand on a campaign that there's actual money behind, or an agency. And that gives you real reason to want to be there. So like all these influencer networks that are paying hand over fist revenues for acquiring new influencers, to me, is just like not the right approach, because I would rather have the brands and the agencies building economic opportunity for those creators and then pushing them into the system, right? So it's like, at that point, like if we can, I personally believe like our creator side, if you want to call it, like in addition to the agency, the brand, the creator side, if the creator side had like a really big focus on how to make more revenue or different revenue making opportunities, that's the holy grail for the creator side. So we'll continue to explore that more, I think, in the future. And maybe through an app, or right now we have like a mobile website for creators to like complete tasks for the different brand partners they're with, connect in their Instagram account, connect their bank account in, all that kind of stuff. But it's extremely utilistic, right? Like there's no reason why you would want to go there unless you had a brand partner. The only other things that you could argue is basically like, could I upload my media kit to Dovetail so that your brand partners see it? We've kind of like thought about that stuff. So I would say like we're pretty I'd say like your last part of your question, where it's like compared to other platforms out there, like we're just like really intentional about why you would be here, because like we don't want you to be frustrated and ask us questions and be like, oh, I want to find more brand partners and stuff, because like ultimately we need to increase the demand, and because you're the supply, right? So we need to increase the demand significantly, the brand dollars, the brands that are coming into Dovetail, the agencies that are coming into Dovetail, and then when we feel right about that, then we'll open the floodgates so that you can build this like maybe, I don't know, marketplace experience or something.
Right.
Well, you can't ask for anything more than that transparency, so I'm sure that's the answer that person was looking for.
Yeah,
totally.
So, Scott, I know we've got 1 minute left. I don't know if you want to do the rundown. Well, we got to get a snappy graphic.
I'll do the rundown, but I'm gonna answer this last question in the chat. This one comes from Lionbrow23. The question is basically, what is the reason for a company that works with ads to work with Dovetail if they don't usually work with influencers? And so basically, they are an influencer platform, and so you have to have an influencer strategy and pretty much an initiative to utilize the Dovetail platform. Because if you're not working with influencers, Mike, I don't believe you have any offerings outside of that. Yeah. So it basically you would need to have an influencer strategy, and so if your team doesn't have one, this could be a great way to start that conversation and a very easy way to test that out. Through their platform to see if it makes sense for your brand and your strategy. And so with that, we're going to go into our final 3 questions here. We've talked about them briefly, but these are the questions that we ask everybody that comes on the show, Mike. First up, again, what is the price? What is the scale? But again, because you're a technology, this is a tough question to answer from a scale perspective. So maybe if you could just list some brands that you've worked with in the past, some names that you could throw out there. How long is the turnaround time? So when starting a campaign with influencers, what's that average turnaround time that you can expect for a campaign? And then lastly, I know we touched on this, but what is that competitive advantage? So those are the last 4 questions for you. If you just want to rattle them off, and we'll wrap up the show.
Yeah, I mean, just in the questions that I haven't answered there, brands that we work with, if you go to twitter.com/Dovetale, you'll see it in the header. So a bunch of brands that we work there, everyone from Target, P&G to Uber and Samsung, and smaller brands like that are just like up and coming. So like Smashmallow, Kettle and Fire, all those types of companies. Starts at $99 a month. We give you a 14-day free trial. We also you can start with a campaign very, very quickly. So I've seen people turn around a campaign in less than a day. Reach out to an influencer, get them into a program, just workflow through the whole bit. Larger companies that have brand safety teams, those types of things probably takes like average 2 weeks. And depending on like your scrutiny or the scrutiny of the department, those types of things, it could take longer. But we generally see it's like about a week and a half to pull something off, depending on if you have like tight timelines as well. Those are the things. So I think I've answered all the other questions, but those are the things that. Anything else I missed?
No. Oh well, the competitive advantage.
Oh yeah, I answered that question earlier.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, chat, Mike, Ryan, everybody. Thank you again for coming on Alphas Hours with. As we had predicted, based off your emoji game on that LinkedIn post, Mike, it was a hot conversation. So thank you for coming on and chatting with us. And of course, anybody in the chat that's viewing, thank you. Feel free to send Mike an email or a tweet or get in contact with myself and Ryan, and we'll make sure that we make the proper introduction. So Ryan, want to take us off here? Take us home for the weekend?
Thanks again, Scott. Thanks again, Mike. And thanks again, chat, for being here. And until then, bye-bye.